87% of Americans have zero emergency plan. With the natural disasters on the rise up 123%, FEMA and the Red Cross both state that we are dangerously unprepared. Let's see how we're doing. We'll be right back. Okay, this was something that was printed on October 14th through the newsforamericans.com. I don't know who the person was that they're quoting in this little story, but I wanted to share a part of this with you. We had 8 minutes to evacuate during the flood warning. I spent 6 of them running around the house trying to remember what I had bought and where I had put it. My wife was screaming from the driveway. The kids were already buckled in. The water was rising. As I was standing in the garage staring at boxes trying to remember which one had the first aid kit, the flashlights were upstairs, the water filter was somewhere in the kitchen, the emergency radio was in the hall closet, I think. We barely made it out. But sitting in that hotel room that night, watching the news footage of our neighborhood underwater, all I could think about was those 6 minutes. 6 minutes of pure panic that should have taken only 30 seconds. Because here's what nobody tells you about being prepared. Having the gear doesn't mean you are ready. I spent hundreds of dollars, watched YouTube videos, read articles, bought quality stuff, but when the moment came, I might as well have not had anything. I hope that's not us. I hope that we are taking what we're learning, not just from me, but I'm sure you're on other platforms trying to be prepared, that we have everything ready where we need it. Hi, this is Vicki with the 411. That was a strange and different entrance to my video for today, but it was something that I felt like really hit home. It hit home to me. I started thinking, how accessible are my necessities ready? And I've made a few changes and I have a list of a couple more things I want to change around. So I hope that that gave you a little food for thought on how you are storing your emergency preparedness items. Anyway, this is Vicki with the 411. Thank you so much for subscribing, for joining us each week. We are on week 45 of our 52 emergency preparedness challenge. And I want to thank you so much for joining me so far this year. And I hope that you've been blessed a little to help you bring a little peace in your heart. It has really, really helped and impacted my life doing this video. So week 45, we're going to start with 5 2-pound boxes of salt. Now, there are so many different kinds of salts that I've come across. We have a salt that's iodized, a salt that's not iodized. I have a coarse kosher salt, and I have pink Himalayan salt. So whatever kind of salt you use, and I don't know why they would make a non-iodized salt. If somebody has an answer for that, let me know why. Because I've always thought we need iodine, because it specifically says this salt does not supply iodine, a necessary nutrient. So anyway, it's not in that box. I don't know why I have it. It's not open. I haven't used it. But check your salt. Also said add a large pepper. So I have the peppercorns because I do have a salt grinder a pepper and salt grinder. And just black salt. Some people even cook with a white salt. There's white pepper. Getting my salt and peppers mixed up here. Okay, going into our household items, it says hand sanitizer and hand wipes for 3 months. And this is all I found when I was going through looking for I know I have some in my long-term storage, but I had a little one of these that I got for my birthday, and a couple of these that I pick up from Chick-fil-A after we've taken my granddaughter to lunch there. And that's all I have readily accessible right now. So it is on my list this week to grab a couple of hand sanitizers to put sporadically through my house to get updated on that. And I know I have some in my bug out bag, but I'm not going to go dig out my bug out bag if I need some hand sanitizer. Speaking of bug out bags, this week we are supposed to add 2 ready to eat meals. Now that's if you're working on the 96-hour bag. If you're doing the 72-hour, we've already have enough meals in our 72-hour bag. So if you have enough, this is a good time to just go through, look, check your expiration dates, check to see, is this something really I'm going to eat, or hey, I found something else that's going to work better. You can either replace, add to, or whatever. But 2 more meals if you're doing the 96-hour one. On our money this week, $30 more. Stay on top of it. That's about the best advice I can give you for that. You will be so happy by the end of the year that you've done that part of the challenge. So for our family prep, so last week was the early frost was going to come through and hit our crops, and we also changed that up a little bit. That if your refrigerator or your freezer goes out, what can you do with some of your stuff? So let's review a few things. Were you able to quickly preserve any items you had on hand? Maybe you didn't actually do it, but the question is, do you have what is necessary? Do you have the jars? We should have jars because that's been on our list a couple times this year. Jars and something to can something. If your freezer goes bad, but you have power, you can can them. You know, if you had good meat in your freezer that you didn't want to lose. So, are you able to preserve it? Did you feel confident using your preservation method, or did you need to look up instructions? Never hurts to look up instructions, even though I have it. I mean, I have a dehydrator, but I guarantee when I pull that dehydrator out, I'm going to look at the instructions because I don't know it off the top of my head. Did you discover you're missing supplies like jars? You might have jars. Did you have enough lids? Do you have fresh seals? Because some of my jars I use over and over and over again, doing them with just a vacuum seal. But if I'm going to seal it in the canner, I'm going to want fresh ones. And if you had to rely on preserved food for a month, how much do you realistically have ready? Just a thought, things that get your mind in motion. Thanks for doing that one. If you had some good experiences or bad that you want to share, please leave some comments. I love to get these comments um, and see what's going on. Okay, so our challenge for this week under our family prep plan is a pandemic outbreak has swept through your community. So we're not doing a worldwide pandemic here. Hospitals are overwhelmed and closed for all non-life threatening cases. You must handle minor medical issues like cuts, burns, sprains, or fevers at home. Do you have the supplies and the skills to keep your family safe until professional care is available? Think about the bandages. Several months back, I shared with you about the bandages that kind of go like this, and you pull it, and it pulls your skin together. It takes the place of stitches. I'll pull that out next week when we do the review on this to show you. But think about ACE bandages. Do you actually know how to wrap a bandage correctly if it's your wrist or an ankle or whatever? So practice using your first aid kit, bandage a pretend cut, wrap a sprained ankle. Try to treat a fake burn. What do you even have burn cream in your first aid kit? These are some things to think about. Take an inventory of your first aid supplies. Check expiration dates on your medicines, your ointments, and your bandages. I didn't know bandages had an expiration date, but it's good to know. So I'm actually going to also look up and learn how to do a CPR class for another reason, but I think that would help anybody and everybody in the long run to be certified CPR, basic first aid and CPR. Nothing to hurt to do that there. So that's our challenge for this week. Do this little pretend pandemic. Are we going to, just beef up our first aid kit? Just expand a little bit of knowledge that you have on first aid. I'm sure there's some new things you can learn all the time. And then our last thing is add $10 more to our future water purchase so that when we end this year, we are going to be really prepared with our water. So that's it. It's a little longer today. Sorry for that, but I just felt this was important stuff to share. Thanks for watching. Again, this is Vicki with the 411. Be sure to share, like, get your friends to subscribe, and thank you so much for letting me enter your life this week.